So, I'm going to be building a guitar. Um, I bought a kit for an 8-string guitar, and comes with everything. Comes with the neck, as well as all the hardware that goes with it. You get fairly bare wood on the guitar and a few other things. I'm going to be customizing it to my liking with a few different little things here and there. I don't remember what the company is that I bought the kit from, but I'm going to show you what I do to make them a little bit customized to my liking. Some of the things that I use and going to be using for this stuff, so I've got some sandpaper. I've got 1500 grit and 800 grit. I'll start with the 800, then go to the 1500 on the body, just to take off some of the sealant that they have on the guitar when it ships. I also have some painter's tape and some staining pads because I'm going to be staining the guitar. I went to Home Depot and I got a darker brown and a black stain. I plan to do on the sides and the back of the guitar a dark brown, and on the face a black. I'll also be clear coating it in a satin lacquer when everything is finished as well, to seal everything in. And some other things that I'll be using is just some nitrile gloves and a few other things. So I guess come along with me as I work on making a guitar. So first thing I'm going to be doing is taking the 800 grit sandpaper, and I'm going to sand down very lightly across the top of the guitar. I believe this guitar has a cap on it, and I really like the grain that comes with this guitar. The back is, I'm not sure the type of wood at the moment, but I think the brown will come really nicely with the grain on this, and I'm hoping the black doesn't completely wash out all of this on here. So I'll be doing the 800 grit first, and then the 1500 to follow up to just smooth things out a little bit nicer. So let's go. I'm just using the 3M wet or dry sanding sheets, starting with the 800 grit, which is just a little bit more of a finer, or not finer, but rougher texture to just take off a good bulking. And then I have a 1500 to just kind of smooth it out, so that way, because there is a very fine finish that they put on just to seal the wood. I just want to take that off so that way the stain and everything adheres better to the actual wood. So I believe I had a sanding block somewhere in the garage. I'm going to try and find that for you. Maybe I don't, but that's okay. I can just use without. So all I'm going to do is just very gently go across the entire face of the guitar, and probably do the sides, the back, just all the surfaces that are going to be basically seen when playing. So now, because this is a very unique grain, there's not really going with the grain on this, so I'm just kind of, that's why I'm starting with such a high sandpaper as well, because I want to just very lightly take off some of this stuff without really taking away from the overall look of it. But just to play it safe, I'm trying to just continue going forward and back, up and down from the top down to the bottom of the guitar to give it an even pattern at least. So if anything does come through in the stain, at least it will all be going in one direction. At least for the face. The sides, I'm not too concerned about. They do have their own grain direction on the sides of the guitar, and the back, which I will try and stay with while I'm sanding. But again, I'm just following the direction of the grain, going from the top to the bottom, back and forth, just to take off that little finish that they do have on the actual body, to be able to adhere this nice stain I'm going to be putting on with it. So you really don't need much. It's not a very hard finish. I've done a few of these guitars before, and there's not a whole lot of sanding that's really necessary. I just prefer to because it actually does make things a little bit smoother if there are some rough finishes when you actually get the guitar shipped to you, or if there's any blemishes or things like that, you can take them out. Alright, we've done the sides, and we've done the back. Again, I'm just following the actual grain of the guitar, going with it. I don't want to go across, so that way I don't cut new grooves into it and make it look non-uniform. I'm not perfect. I don't try to be super perfect, but I like to make things look as good as I can. So 800 is a very fine grit to begin with, and the 1500 is very smooth, and it'll just add a little extra. Some things I don't usually get into are like the screw holes here, or the pocket where the cover is going to sit, or these holes here, which I may have to clean out afterwards, where everything kind of just ties into the guitar. So now I'm just going to take one of my shop rags I have out here. I'm just going to brush it off very gingerly and lightly, just to take off anything so nothing really rubs against the actual guitar when I am trying to put the stain I do my next grit of sandpaper on. So I'm just going to brush off all the dust and anything that may have accumulated while I was sanding. So right here is like a little bit of a blemish in the body. There's a lot of grittiness in the grain that's kind of come through. It wasn't probably super sanded well at factory, which is okay. That's why I'm doing the sanding now, is to take some of that out. So I'll remember that right here on this lower arm of the guitar. I'm going to hit it especially harder with my neck set. Actually, I could probably just do a little bit more with the 800. Just following the groove, smoothing it out. There we go. That's already feeling better already. Very smooth. Alright, so now that we've finished with the 800, and again, you can use this sandpaper dry or wet. I'm just using it dry because I don't really need to moisten it for what I'm doing. So now I'm just going to take out 1500 sheet, and we're going to hit it with 1500. So again, we'll start on the face and do like we did last time. We're just going to follow from the top of the guitar down to the bottom in a back and forth motion. This grit I'm going to be paying a little more attention to because it is finer. So I just want to make sure that my lines are very straight. Because doing this type of sanding should hopefully alleviate a lot of the extra lines that are going to appear when I apply my my stain. You don't always have to use sandpaper. You can use sanding blocks. You can cut sheets of this or wrap this around a wood block, which is what I usually tend to do. I just couldn't find where I put my little sanding block that I keep in here at. Just to make it easier on your hands. There we go. So very smooth now, very soft. So it should take a lot of the stain very well when we get to applying that. I've been building guitars like this for a couple of years. I've done about 3 or 4 of them. I enjoy tinkering around, building small knick-knack things, stuff like that, and I've always loved music. I've been playing guitar for a few years, and you can always buy a guitar, but my tinkering mindset was like, why don't I just build them? And I found these kits, and I thought, well, hey, I know enough about woodworking and tinkering and other things, so I've decided to build a few custom to my liking rather than just going to a store, looking at one, picking it out, and buying it. Because I do like to also add custom things to it. I'm not sure, probably for the video that I'm doing with this, I'm probably just going to keep all the stock stuff, but on some of my other guitars I built a Telecaster, a T-body type, and I added EMG pickups and a few different changes to the hardware, locking tuners and those sorts of things, just because I prefer those. But I have a 7-string guitar, and this will be actually my first 8-string that I will own and probably play. So it'll be definitely interesting for me. A little bit of a learning curve to pick up an 8-string and play it, but I've never had much issue playing tons of different instruments in the past. So we finished with our 1500 grit. We've gone over all of our surfaces. Now we're just going to again wipe off all that dust and everything else. Because of the camera that I'm filming this with, I can only do short bits, and I'm going to be snipping everything together at the very end and possibly breaking this up into a few different videos. So if you guys are watching this, I hope you enjoy. I'm going to take a moment after I'm done wiping all this off to get prepped for the stain, which is our next move. As for the neck of the guitar, I haven't fully decided yet if I want to really stain much of it. Clean off my table so I can set this down on it. I haven't decided if I'm going to stain it yet. I'd like to at least maybe stain the headstock to keep it matching with the rest of the guitar, but to be fair, it probably won't be a big preference to me. But the back of the neck is actually, I don't like sticky necks, like super lacquered necks, and this isn't lacquered at all much, so my hand doesn't actually stick to it. So I may just leave it as it is. Some of the small luthier stuff I'll probably do later. Just clean up maybe some of the fret edges that are a little bit sharper, but that's something that's a little more advanced for later stuff. But I'll probably just keep it as it is. I won't really mess with it. But alright, I will see you guys in a moment. I'm going to get the stain finished or ready to go. I may need to tape up a few edges. We're going to be applying it with these staining pads, possibly some rags. I'm not sure if I'm going to like these yet or not. I haven't used these. I usually use rags. So I'll see you guys in a moment. Alright, so I've got a few things ready. I have a few of these rags that I have set up in case these staining pads are kind of finicky. I haven't used them yet, but I've just got these rags that I've got cut up from like a t-shirt thing. You can just buy these in the paint aisles and stuff with the other stuff. We're going to be taping off the edges of the guitar, so that way, because we're going to start with staining the top, our cap. We're going to stain this, so we're going to be putting tape around the edges because I'm probably making a poor decision by doing black first and then doing the brown on the sides. But if the black does leak over on the edge, I don't want it to show up in the darker brown parts of it. So I'm going to be taping just this top edge where the cap meets the actual body. So that way I can stain this and I don't have to worry about any runoff or anything like that if I do. So we're going to get to taping. Very awkward to kind of set this up because you have to hold the guitar up kind of and hold the body against something, or if you have anything that you can just have it holding, it would make this a lot smoother. And I have shaky hands, so sometimes it is harder for me to keep things as steady as I was like, but I think I've got quite a bit of things figured out for it. So once we get the edge nice and clean, press it down and just follow the entire edge of the guitar. I don't want a lot of overhang. I want it just right on the edge. I want this as clean as can be. This is just standard Scotch painter's tape. It's 29 or 2093, I believe it is, 2093. If you would like specifics, again, you can pick this just up in paint aisle, wherever you get your painting stuff at, whether it be at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, or any other small hardware stores. So the back side that's against the actual body doesn't really matter. The edge is the most important for us right now. We want to make sure that that edge is pressed tightly down so that way we don't have any leakage seep underneath the tape. So the back side doesn't exactly matter. We want the side that's closer to the edge that we're going to be staining to be for sure pressed against where it's at. So I'm making sure that this edge here on this front face is pushed down. In the back side, I just kind of push down and mash it as I can, but I want to really make sure that this side that's facing the face is tight. Yeah, we're just going to continue to follow and chase the edge with our tape. So I'm just kind of pressing it down with my finger as I go, pulling up if I need to, and then readjusting as I move down the edge of the guitar. So this may take quite some time, but we want to make sure that we're getting it perfect as we can. So again, I'm not perfect, but as close as I can get it is good for me. These tight edges here, these really short round spots, are never fun because you can easily just take the longest period of time, but these long runs are very easy. So I'm just going to continue to follow this all the way around. I don't think you guys really want to watch me do this whole thing, so I will take a break from the video and get back to you guys as soon as I have this all taped. Alright, so I've got the entire edge taped up. Obviously I'm not going to really tape in here. This is just the neck pocket. The neck's going to sit in here. If any stain gets in here that's kind of too much of an issue, I can just sand this stuff out. So yeah, I pretty much just have this entire edge here taped all the way around as tight as I can get of the top cap, just to tape it off. So yeah, it just kind of follows all the way around the body, back over, and back into the neck pocket on the other side. So this is all ready to go. So we're going to get ready to start staining top of the body. I plan on hopefully only doing one layer of the black stain as I go, maybe doing 1 or 2 layers of the brown when I do the sides and the back of the guitar. But for now we're just going to be doing one simple layer across the cap of the body. So let's use this one here. So I'm going to give one last final wipe just to make sure there's nothing sitting on the edge, top edge of the guitar. Making sure all my tape is really kind of down where it needs to be so that we don't have any extra spillage while we're staining. I'm just laying down these shop rags that I have in my garage to kind of protect my work surface. You can set down a trash bag, whatever you'd like to get that ready. So now we're going to throw some of my nitrile gloves that I have saved so that way we can protect our hands, because we're going to be using some darker stain and it'll stain your hands for sure. So yeah, let's get to staining. Now let's see. So we're gonna open our stain up. Make sure it's nicely shaken. It's been sitting for a while, or it's out in the weather where it may be cold or getting cold. Just want to shake it up just a little bit. Probably did a little too much. I'm just going to use one of my little flatheads here to pop this open. Alright. I may need a bigger flathead. Let's see over here. Alright. And there we go. So that is our dark, classic dark stain. I'm going to set this here. I thought I had some cardboard laying around, but possibly not anymore in here. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Anyway, I can make one little spot to put that so it doesn't go over. Alright, put this cardboard. I'll set this on top of it, and I'm going to put my stain on top of it as well. Very close to the work edge of my workstation here. So I'll make sure I get everything kind of still in shot as well, so you guys don't miss anything. So I'm going to use rags to start, just because I don't know how those are going to work yet. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my rag. I'm just going to very lightly dip it just a little bit into my stain, and then I'm just going to very lightly just brush it across. And again, I'm going to do like what I was doing with my sanding. I'm just going to go back and forth with top to bottom of the guitar, following the grain. And that doesn't look too bad. Maybe we'll do more than one layer. So I just take a little bit at a time, spread it across my surface of the guitar, spread it as far as I can get it. I've got plenty of stain and plenty for more. I have more than enough that I need for this guitar. So I have enough to make probably a couple guitars with this. So again, run out, just dip a little bit, and then we're just going to keep spreading it and brushing it across the surface of the guitar. We're just going to do this for the entire front face. I'm doing this video because I've done this plenty of times making different guitars, and thought this time around, why don't I make a video of it just to show people what I do when I buy these kits and I want to make them custom, because they send you these kits with just the wood grain in the guitars, and plain wood grain guitars are nice. I'm not knocking them, but if you add a little bit to your own factory, you can make things look very unique and very nice. And it's for you, it's custom. So I'm just getting between the where the pickups will go. Again, just brushing across everything, very lightly spreading everything as far as I can get. So that way it's not all just sitting in one spot making a super dark area. So it spreads across everything, and the grain doesn't just absorb in one area and make one part of the guitar very dark and everything kind of uneven. So this is just a way to make things even out. With this stain that I have, this is Varathane. This is classic black. This stuff I usually don't sand off, so I just do a layer of this, let it dry for a little bit of time, and then I come back. Maybe if I need to do a little bit more, add some more darkness to it if I would like, I just add another layer to it after it dries. But otherwise, that's looking actually fairly nice from what it was. So I'm just making sure, like, I know the tape is going to hold most of anything that's close to the edge, but I'm also just brushing along the edge to make sure there are any small little bits that, like down here I have some blemishes in the body where there's just a little bit of pitting. Nothing too serious. I don't mind it, it's fine by me, but I just want to get in those little cracks. I also have some up here at the top of the guitar up here. So I'm just kind of going back and forth to make sure that I sit in those pockets a little bit with that stain so it adheres nicely. The other benefit of doing such light layers is that it should dry faster, so you can, it's a lot less wait time. I tend to be an impatient person, so it makes it a little bit nicer because then I can just come back shorter the time than waiting for like very thick splotches across the body to adhere. I can just come back in like 30 to 40 minutes, do another quick gloss over, and then I probably should be done with the black. Then we'll let it dry and then come back. We'll kind of try and tape the edge of this, the front face compared to the edge, which I probably won't really need to, especially because I'll be putting a lighter color on the edge so the brown won't really leak into the black as much. And once we're done, we're going to hang it, spray it with the clear satin lacquer, and then from there it's pretty much just assembling the guitar for me. So yeah, this is all set. This is going to need to dry for a little bit of time. The other thing I didn't mention, I didn't really need to tape the insides of the pick guard or the pickup areas because you're not really going to see them again, like the neck pocket. But I wanted to make sure everything else was kind of covered in general. The only other thing that I may try and get is like try and really get these edges where these screws are going to end at. So I just kind of like twist into them just in case they kind of show up where the knobs and stuff, because they may show through. So I just kind of twist and then I brush back across to pull anything that's sitting up on top, layer back down. So yeah. As for right now, this is kind of how everything's looking with that black. I definitely think I'm going to do probably another small thin layer of black just to kind of take it back down just another tone, and then we'll hit this back side here so it's not so orangey with a darker brown, so it kind of makes the top pop. When I'm playing it, I can see like a very nice contrast between the top and bottom of the guitar. So this is the Varathane Classic Black that I'm using for the face. I'm also using Varathane's Wood Stain Jacobean for the sides and the back side of the guitar. I have some other that I had before for espresso, which is I believe, a little bit lighter, or a mixture. It's a little more of a cherry, I believe. But I wanted to have a darker faced guitar with a lighter colored back. I've used a few different things. Some of the other ones I use is like Color Tone. They make some stuff that you mix in with some other paint products to spray with. They also make some actual spray paint colors, so you can just have a rattle can, spray your guitars, whatever. I've done that. I've done their Color Tone Red, which they have for a bass guitar that I made. And yeah, so now we just have to wait for all this to dry, and we'll come back to another layer, and then we'll start taping the front edge once that next layer dries, and then do the sides and the bottom. Maybe we'll tape it, maybe we won't. We'll see when we get there. Yeah, and we'll just keep continuing to build this. So I'm going to take a break, so I can let this dry for a little bit. I'll be back to you guys when battery died. Don't know where it actually ended at, so I just replaced battery real quick. So I'm going to do another quick layer on top of the guitar in black, and then let that dry probably for another 30 minutes or so, and then I'm going to work on the edges. So I'm going to use the same rag and everything too. So everything's still kind of a little bit on the wetter side. So we're just going to do like what we did before, and just very thin layer, just apply. This time we can go a little bit thicker, I know now, because just with how it applied last time, so I may go a little bit thicker so it stays a little bit darker. So I won't spread it as far, but I want to still make sure that I'm not just letting it all sit in one area. Again, another thing I really want to make sure is that I'm going with my sanding lines where everything was kind of grained together, so that way it sits in where I was sanding at. And we sand that stuff down so that way it's more bare wood. It's not just sitting on top of what was from the factory. Because if we just applied it straight to that lacquer, it won't adhere to the body of the guitar. We're just going back, forth, up and down, spreading it across, making sure that we're filling in as much as we can. Because it is still wet, I am still having to make sure I really go back and forth from my sanding lines, just to make sure that it's getting in there. Because it is still wet enough that it can take that stuff from the last stain and spread it. So looking good. Alright, it's looking a little bit better. I'm okay with this. I think down here where it's a little bit lighter, I'm trying to really make sure I push in that grain so it adheres to it a little bit more, because I know that part of the wood was the lighter part, and if I darken everything else and leave that too light, it'll really look odd. So, let's see. All right, my fingers have a little bit of stain on them. But, this is how we're looking after our second coat. Looking closer to where I would like it at, darker wise. I may have to actually go on and do another quick wet apply and do really, really thick amounts of it just to get it to really take on that dark black tone that I like. Which I'm going to probably do now. So we're going to really just add it in. So when I'm doing this thicker, I'm really just, I want to make sure I'm reaching the depth of the top and bottom of this grain. So I want to like put it on thick where I really need it and then just spread it across, that way it reaches all the way to the top and bottom. So I don't want it to just sit in one area. I want it to hold there, but I want it to like blend in more with the grain rather than just sit on the surface. And I really want it to adhere this time, because we don't want uneven patches of it. And if you do it too much in a certain area and you don't like it, you can lightly sand it and the whole face of it, go back across it with your stain again, and that should take it out. So, because if you didn't sand it right, it won't really hold. So now let's take another look again. Try and not get my blackened fingertips on there too much. And there. It's looking a lot closer to what I would like for that grain. So, I think this is probably going to be where I'm going to be at with this. I'm going to let it dry for another 30 minutes or so. And then maybe do one more layer, maybe, if it doesn't really take the darkness again. And then we'll probably start working on those sides.